The Hoover Constellation. God, we've seen a fair few on this channel and we're about to see some more, but this video I'm going to try and do slightly differently because yes, it is an after video of two of them, but I have three. And the reason I have three is because I want to show you some of the pitfalls and what you have to be careful of with these metal orbs, and why even if you do everything the same in your refurbishment, you can end up with three completely different machines. So, we have the blue one, we have the pink one, and we also have, it's all the way over here, the sandglow orange one, which you have seen before, but it never went home because it just didn't quite work as well as I'd have liked. So let me show you the differences between each of these ones and tell you how these two came up, because you haven't seen that yet. Let's have a look. Yes, hello, my vacuum cleaner chums. How are you today? And welcome to all you Hoover Constellation perverts out there. This video is for you. Yes, exactly the same, very different machines. And yeah, we'll start with the after video part of this after video, and we'll start with this because bless her, it didn't quite think it worth doing an entire after video just for this, because this is all we have from this earlier Hoover Constellation. It has a different motor to the other ones, arguably quite a lot nicer. It has its original ribbed, for its pleasure, pink matching cable, as all the Hoovers used to have before the accountants swept in and obviously saved lots of money and kept the company going, only for it to be pointless mere decades later. Yeah, this one, I mean, on the top it came out very nice indeed, not too bad on here. But of course on this particular one, and again this is something you really have to look out for. If these have just been sat in the floor in a garage for 33.5 years until they decide to put it on eBay, they rust. And I'm no good at painting, which is why I don't do it. I'm always up front with anybody who asks me to refurbish anything. I cannot do paint unless it's like black or white or hammerite on some of the Hoover uprights. But colour matching this nice salmon pink, yeah, definitely not. Also noticed that there's quite a few little dents in it, and taking a couple out, must say I hadn't noticed that one, but equally I'm not having it all apart now. The cable grommet is actually now a Hoover Junior one. It fits fine, does its job of not letting the cable destroy itself on the edge of the metal, although it is rounded down, so hey, not too bad. And yeah, underneath is pretty much, they all look like this. If you find a Hoover Constellation that has its paint down here, my goodness, never use it, keep it absolutely immaculate. These just get trashed, and obviously it floats on a cushion of air, but it sort of floats like a fly that's got half a broken wing and still scuffs around the floor even when on. Worst of the paint is down here, although it didn't come off when I washed it, so I guess that's a good thing. And our two random holes have been filled from the bottom with some clear silicon sealant. Clear silicon sealant is indeed your friend here, because as you can see I put it around the join of the skirt, because when these are warped, and this whole video is going to be about warping really, the air escapes from out here and doesn't go underneath, and yeah, makes them not work as well. So that's a little trick, and I use clear silicone because obviously it's clear, you can't see it. It would look a lot worse if you put black or blue on it, wouldn't it? So that is my little modifications that I do. We open her up. I kept the foam donut. I kept the HEPA flowed bag. I think it works fairly well. And yeah, that's the original filter that came with it, all washed up. This has seen some quite extensive paint. you can probably tell just by the fact that it's a different shade to everything else. And yeah, you can tell that it's only been that bit, so I don't quite know why. Maybe I would say it rusted, but quite why anybody would have gone to the trouble of cleaning it up and repainting it, not too sure. Maybe somebody else's old project, I don't actually know. We're probably never going to find out. Kept the modern plug on it because as modern and rubbish as it is, does the job very well of making the electricity go from just down there to in here. And this one floats the best. That's the theme of today's video, floating the best. It has excellent suction and it is that I can't do anything about. The motor's been apart and I've cleaned it as well as I can. I think the fan case bearing just a little bit stuttery, and not a lot you can do about that because they are riveted in with some very specific rivets that you have to faff around with little nuts and bolts and spacers. But once it's on, it's fine. And yeah, this one came from my customer's personal collection. He already had this, and I think he got very lucky with it because yeah, it floats and works the best. So, one down. We shall wind the cable up. The cable storage on a Constellation. I think it should actually do that, but I hate doing that. These handles do not survive. In fact, all three of the Hoover Constellations here and many more have already cracked. Well, put that there. And if you just stick the plug down there, look, it sort of sits itself in. Don't know if I can show you that taking it off, but you can just see a little bit of black in the middle of the handle. And yeah, it's where the handle cracks. You can see it there, and I've had to glue it. They split, or they start to split. And again, you can glue them up and it holds itself, but I don't like using it. And to ship all of these, handle comes off because I don't know how this one amazingly survived with its handle on and poking out the top of the box. If you remember, the Tesco Stripey Valley microwave box had this pushing it out. This is the blue one. And I don't know why I couldn't find the ratings plate in the before video, because obviously it's there, isn't it? It's an 867A from 1977. Very nice indeed. This one has a much better bottom. Felix, stop trying to chew my ear. Get off. This one has a much better bottom on it. That I would class as very good, actually. Very good indeed. And I also didn't have to really seal that up. I decided that it was all right as it was. This one has the more usual 60s and 70s style white cable. It is the original flexor, as I discovered when I took it off of the terminal block, so that's very nice. Although sadly, our ever ready plug does have a bit of damage on it. These are quite brittle, these plugs, and taken the gamble that that's still perfectly safe. Certainly when it's on display, you can't tell. The owner can change it if he would like. This one has also had its handle glued. I'm never going to be able to show you without taking it off. And is what it is, but the paintwork is certainly a lot better on it. It's covered in fingerprints now. Buff it off before it goes in the post. But yeah, very nice and shiny. These do machine polish up very well, obviously being paint. You know, it's just like polishing a car, really. You could wet sand and go the whole hog, should you be so inclined. If we open this one up, this one's had paint as well. There's some drops of it there and some runs, and all inside of here. Inside, not outside. Outside looks alright. Maybe it was just badly painted by the people at Hoover when they made it. I don't quite know. We'll take out our genuine original paper bag. We have our filter, looking very nice, but actually pull that out there. These filters are a pain to fit. You have to centre the whole thing up, and then when you put the clip on, it can pull the filter out with it, and it does take a fair few turns. Most of the damage on this one is here, look, on the rim of the inner part, I think again it sat in a wet or damp place and the damp has got under this rubber seal and just stuck there and made it pretty flipping terrible. It's also had all the plaster dust cleaned out of it as well, so inside is now spotless. We'll try and fit the bag back on without cutting it. It's very easy to slice the bag when you fit it. Bit of a rubbish design floor there, although obviously we're several decades too late to do anything or care about it now. Oh, there's a cable tie there, Phoenix. Yeah, you chew on that. And this one works very well indeed. Lots of suction. It floats okay when it gets going. Must say, it doesn't hover itself up as much as this one, but it does a good job. Now this one, if you remember, we had some tools with it. So this is how the floor, carpet and hard floor, posh, double layered thing, came up. Hoover, it's foreign, but I think it's Italy. Yeah. This side for floor, and obviously, because this would have been sold all over Europe at this point, they smashed all the languages on there. Very nice. We have our package of bags, which we don't really need to care too much about. Oh, we have our hose, look, which came up beautifully with a long soak in the bath with some soda crystals, so all the mud falls out of them. Then you have to sit there with a brush and literally clean every single gap in the hose, otherwise it looks awful. It's what you've got to do if you want them to look as good as they can, especially if, like me, you charge actual money for doing this. Got to do your best. But this one works really well. Well, I'm not fully liking this car, but not a lot does. I mean, it glides over the top, I have to say. It does okay. You can even do the hard floor back here. Yeah, it pulls around fairly nicely, not perfectly, but certainly fairly nicely. So yeah, that is this one. Nicely done. Oh. Unplug it and wind the cable back up. Now, obviously better, or best, better. Now it's time to look at, I'll call it the worst, because out of these three it is, although it's actually better than it was. If you remember the after video of the Sandglow 867A that I did a fair while ago now, it's still here because I wasn't happy with how it came out. You have to excuse the handle not being on. It was boxed up, but I never sent it, and that's what these two little bits of magic tape are for. Over the hole so I can troubleshoot it without all the air leaking out. And this one is what happens when they're stored badly, kicked around, you know, oh, that rubbish old Hoover is terrible. God, just use it one more time. Gas, stupid thing, kick. I mean, it's beautiful electric plug, which it still wears, does not save it from the fact that it was very, very warped. And I really struggled to get it to see. If you remember in the after video, I sort of didn't fully show it because I didn't fully understand what it was doing until it was getting these. I went, oh crikey, that is no good. And compared to the other blue one that we had at the time, the one that we did the full strip down video on, that wasn't this one, that was another one. I've been a bit busy with this, with the hammer and some sacrificial cardboard so I don't smash all the paint off, and it was really warped. It's still not 100% now. I mean, it's got a bit of a squeal, but it actually has some suction. Before, you had to clamp it down, and then when it squeezed itself down just with the air pressure, it then sealed up and worked. Now it at least, does have some suction without having to do that. Although it floats the worst out of all of them still. It's, again, I've done my best with this skirt, as you can see it's warped there, but again, the problem is, unless you're really good at metal work, which I'm not going to lie, I'm going to run more risk of damaging it by trying to, you know, smash it out or tap it out. And yeah, as soon as I rip this off its curtains, the paintwork, although pretty terrible down there, is really, really good on this, and if I bend it and crack the paint, it's game over really. So it is what it is really. It works okay. I have it toned over here. We can plug in, and yeah. It is airtight now, and yeah, it has more suction by itself. I think it was around this bit it wasn't sealing. Certainly been a bit busy with the hammer and dolly on there to get that just flat, just so that the rubber seal can stick to it. And yeah, that's basically my cautionary tale with these. As fun as they are, as much as they come up rarer and rarer now, every time they do come up, they go for more and more money. But the problem is, you can pay what you want for it. You could get one for £1, you could get one for 200 quid. If it's warped and bent and generally just not brilliant, you're gonna have a bad time. And the only way to fix that is to get really creative with straightening the whole thing out. It's why I don't fully go for the used metal pneumatics. I had an MV250 once. It came from a skip actually outside the old Marlow post office. I've been to the pub, walked past the skip, saw him and obviously grabbed him and took him home. But it never worked right because it had obviously been booted across or lobbed into the skip so hard it warped the whole thing and never ran right again. I had to sit on the damn thing for it to have any suction at all. And the same is true for these. Yes, you can get really good ones still, yeah, these are middling, but they can also be like this poor chap, which looks really good on the outside, but actually requires a fair bit of work to even work. And you don't know that until you get it home. And I just want you to bear that in mind if you see a Hoover Constellation rising up on eBay to phenomenal money. That do I want to, you know, can I afford it, and can I afford it if it's rubbish? And can I then put the time and effort into doing it? Because I can't, I'm not going to lie, I'm not very good at bashing metal straight. Not something I've ever really done. I got away with this one. I think it's okay now. It's, you know, certainly a lot better than it was. We best peel this tape off as well. But it's still not perfect. So a cautionary tale for these as they get more expensive and more sought after, because yeah, they're all in collections now. These three are all about to be packaged up and go off to the same person to go into his collection. It's the sad fact of, well, it's not a sad fact, why am I saying that? It's the fact of life, you know. They're not everywhere anymore, and the ones that are left out in the wild have probably been sat on the floor of a damp, wet shed, just not cared about until, you know, Uncle John dies and they have to clean the house out and they find it somewhere and put it on eBay. It's the state that these are in. They're either as found or minters, like all of these. These are all as clean as they need to be. They've all been machine polished, waxed, sealed. They are, as far as I'm concerned, as good as I personally can get them. So, have you had a Hoover Constellation that hasn't quite lived up to your expectations because it's just been warped or damaged? Let me know in the comments and let me know what you did to fix it. You can, you know, take, where are we? Yeah. You can silicone seal all under there and stick it down, and that does help. But then, of course, you'll really struggle to get back into the thing if you need to. It's sort of a last resort, really. I had done it once and it did work, but obviously to get back into it is going to involve screwdrivering the thing apart, which will damage it. So, yeah, I don't know. I do still like these. They are really lovely, but you have to go in with your eyes open. But that's it for this video. I'll thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. And but not these. This one is finally going home. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.